There is something else before we wrap up tonight that I have to beg of you, my friend. I have been trapped in my mind. I have been stuck, Mick. I have been in a place, I'm rooted, and I can't get out. And I need you to pull me out and then whip me around like a radish and chuck me into the bin.
Jesus, what do you want me to fix tonight?
I need you to fix something that I don't know if it's fixable, because I've tried to go back and figure out where it was broken, and it's broken so many places that I think it'd be a lot of fun if you could somehow take this guy right here,
Batman,
and all of his fellow friends. Yes, I've got Batman. I'm pointing to my Batman picture by Stuart Sega, signed by him. He's a great guy. He's a really nice guy, by the way. Does really good Batman work. I need you to. So James Gunn is going to be taking over the DCU. I was watching Suicide Squad the other day. Batman, in another different version of the other Suicide Squad. Because the James Gunn one is great. Watch the other David Ayer's Suicide Squad, which I don't hate. It's just not good. It's enjoyable. It's just not a good movie. Is there a way that you could fix the DC extended universe pre James Gunn? And I would say I think I could honestly comfortably say post Superman Returns.
Okay.
Is that a good line? Is that a good line in the sand?
2008, I think. So
yes.
Well, the only caveat I would have to say that honestly, yes, can you fix it? Well, no, you can't fix it anymore. But could you have? And here's why I don't have a lot of faith in DC under the Gunn reign. I think he's going to make good movies. Mm-hmm. I don't know that this is going to be a franchise because he's not building the franchise yet. I know they have a plan and I know what they're going for. They have a theme. Mm-hmm. But I think the problem is you don't have the formula down, and you should have been copying Marvel and the formula, and that's what would fix the pre-Gunn era Snyder. Let's just call it the Snyderverse for now because he picked.
Well, I mean, there was still, because I don't count Nolan's movies in those. I would like it stated that the Batman Nolan stay separate.
I agree, but I have to mention them in my fix of this.
Fair, okay.
And the reason being is because the massive success, as we know from The Dark Knight, was matched that same year by the massive success of Iron Man. Now, what does that have to do with anything? It has to do with the fact that Iron Man was going to lead to one of the biggest franchises ever, and probably will always be ever. And that was the first of this franchise, right? And they have a very clear formula. And I know I'm kind of reiterating things that everybody knows, but they have a very clear formula. At the beginning, they did not, but they had a movie to build off of. Yeah. But so did DC with The Dark Knight, which was really their only property. And if you notice, after The Dark Knight came out, and even though it came out after, there was a lot of development into a Superman that would fit into the world of Nolan's Batman. Yeah. And that was their first mistake. Yep. And the reason I say that is because if you were never going to connect it to Nolan's Batman, you should have never based it on that. But that's what they based their formula on. Mm-hmm. The Dark Knight did great. And that's what we need. We need those gems, and we have all of these characters. And yeah, we want to connect them. So they fast track a Superman movie, Man of Steel, of course, which now is the tone for your whole franchise going forward, and is not connected to the movie that helps set that tone. Right. So that's where your first mistake goes. I'm not saying you can't have that tone. You can, and fix this. I'm saying you didn't follow the right formula. Now, for me, what I would have done is, okay, you have Man of Steel, you tried something, didn't work as well as Dark Knight did, but neither did the third in that Dark Knight series. Yeah. So, they didn't know that at the time when they were developing. Snyder's coming in. Snyder has a big vision for it. I get it. Now, all those things considered, taking out the upper echelon, they should have had a producer at the helm, kind of like a Kevin Feige, who's running the show, and then had people they could trust going down. At the time, Snyder was almost as big of a director as Jon Favreau. Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. The only
300 was giant. I mean, that was a huge movie. So yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. So he's coming in with a lot of clout, just like Favreau was doing with Iron Man. That's why I think it kind of really works. Now, like I said, you don't have to have the same tone as Marvel. You can have a darker tone and still fix this. But the formula they should have used was exactly what they did in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and pick your villains properly. What is the steps? We don't get to Thanos until Infinity War. We don't even get to the Black Order until Infinity War. So it's ultimately going to be what the Iron Man, the Avengers was, which is Loki and the army, the Chitauri. Then you have Ultron. Then you have Thanos. You're growing in each one. First of all, the villains, which are arguably, I would say the villains of DC are better than the villains of Marvel.
Yeah, I've always heard that argument. I will respectfully disagree.
That's fine. And that's not because I know where you're coming from. We've had deep conversations about this, and I don't disagree with you. I just think, and the funny thing is, when I say the villains of DC, most of them are Batman villains.
Oh, okay. When it comes to the rogues gallery of Batman alone, they rival. Like those
but
are definitely
still be counted on DC, and it's like
true.
I don't know that you're making a Thanos movie that's going to be as successful as the Joker. Yeah,
it's true.
Or Loki.
Absolutely.
But it comes down to they wanted to go with the realism, but what they should have done, what they should have given us is you've already given us an origin story in the Man of Steel and open this world up. Now you go to Batman. And if you want Affleck's Batman, fine. But Affleck's Batman needs to be a detective, kind of like what the Batman was.
Yes.
But trying to find out who the puppeteer is, trying to do this to Superman, who you're not 100% sure with because you've had issues as Bruce Wayne with, like his building coming down and killing people. His bullshit argument, basically. So you have all of that. And now, but he's doing the investigating side. And he's trying to figure it out. What I would have done was made my first villain Lex Luthor, who is kind of Legion of Dooming it a little bit by pulling the strings of certain villains.
Almost the Moriarty style in Holmes, where he's the villain above the villains.
Exactly.
You don't necessarily know it's him yet, and it's definitely not frickin' Eisenberg. So.
Yes. And all along that way, he's pulling the strings in each movie. He should have been in Superman, even if you're retconning it. Sure. Because he wasn't in it. And he should have been a Man of Steel. But even if you retcon it like they did Bruce Wayne in the beginning of Batman vs. Superman, you can do it where he's pulling the strings to each villain. And he's trying to not draw these metahumans together, but test them to see where they go. And then you find out that he is experimenting, and not this Jesse Eisenberg one. I'm talking about a real Lex Luthor, an industrialist type Lex Luthor, where now he's testing on the body of Zod. And your first Avengers-esque Justice League movie is the death of Superman.
Yeah, that's Doomsday.
Yes, that's where they ultimately comes down to, but it's the big three. So you get 3 or 4 movies to set it all up. Get to that movie, the first Justice League movie. It's just Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Superman dies. That propels you. And you could have even made it that long saga, but I would take the other characters out. Oh, no, that was Justice League. I'm talking about this, my Justice League. Yeah. Technically the end of Batman versus Superman, but better. Right. So you make that one the movie. You have a knockout, drag down fight between between Superman and Doomsday all the way through, while Batman and Wonder Woman are trying to help him, and then you introduce maybe some other metahumans who they've never heard of before coming in to try and help or see what's what. After that, Superman dies. They try to build this team together. The next one is introducing all these other characters wherever. It doesn't have to be origin. Introducing all these other characters in their own movies and starting to thread it to Superman coming back in the next Justice League movie. And maybe they have to go up against Superman, who's still having, the strings pulled a bit.
So but maybe you even get the opportunity to get a Doom backdoor Doom, where you actually have, everyone finds out that Bruce Wayne basically has an answer for everybody. that he's working with. That would be a wonderful time to pull that out.
Yes, that would be great. And then that Justice League, because there's still the turmoil, but they're still coming together. And they finally are able to come together by fighting Superman. But you find out that it was actually maybe Steppenwolf, if you want to go that route again.
Okay.
Just for that second one. Where for Darkseid, he's pulling strings there on Lex Luthor all the way down. Like, this is going all the way up. Make it a conspiracy type of thing. Follow the yarn. And when Superman comes to, and at the end, you see them kind of coming together and fight because they find out it was Steppenwolf doing it. That's when you find out about Darkseid. Then you go to Flashpoint. Flashpoint goes, you can have Michael Keaton Batman. You can have all of these things because he goes back in time, changes things. And the thing that he was trying to avoid was going into that dark post-apocalyptic world. But Flashpoint is what's causing that.
Yeah.
So he has to go to Batman. He has to find Supergirl. They have to go and try and fight and do all of this stuff. Back to the future it a little bit. And now that propels you. We get back into gear, and then we're going on to Darkseid. So
that's really good because then, yeah, for Justice League 2, I like how you have that set up with that war, and then you Flashpoint it in the next, say, you can do Flashpoint 2-3 movies. Yep. You know, you can have different aspects of it, and then wrapping up in the third conclusive. And it's good to, I think, to set that as trilogies. I like the idea of kind of cordoning them off as threes, and then you build your Justice League.
And I feel like, not to toot my own horn or boast or anything, but like if you follow that formula, they're making money. They have more power now. So when they do cast The Rock as Black Adam, it's like, no, we're not giving you every choice under the sun. You know, and you ruin things for not just this, but another movie franchise that was making us money.
Yeah, you insult the other movie franchise. Like, that's just rude, man. Like, that's messed up. Like, Shazam's great. And that's how the comic books went. And I'm sorry if you don't like where you want your comic book character to go, but you have to respect the character. And if you disrespect the character, screw you.
Yep, 100% agree. So, Casey, in your mind, did I fix it?
Bro, you came as close as humanly possible to possibly ever fixing the preset DCEU, because that honestly was a much better version. It sounded better, and I want to see those stories and be able to mind wipe from all the other junk that's in there.
Fair.